Even we've got a beautiful trail just to the west of us here. I've got residents who won't use the trail anymore because they don't feel safe.
Wow.
And they tend to congregate all in one area. And so when they concentrate in one area, we get big social problems. And I think when I look at the big scheme, the federal government, the provincial government, in their whole rank of priorities, these social issues, the mental health issues, the addictions, tend to fall to the very bottom. And so it's regular citizens who have to suffer the consequences.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Oshawa, Ontario, and I'm with Ward 5 City Councillor John Gray. And you know, in typical circumstances, I would invite Mr. Gray into this Tim Hortons so we could grab a cup of joe. But we can no longer do that. That is the reason why John Gray and I are meeting today. This Tim Hortons has closed its dining room and its bathrooms. It's drive-through only or takeaway service only. It's a sad sign of the times because the homeless and the drug addicts in this area have made a dining room unsafe.
I was just wondering, we have to eat in the vehicle. We can't eat it in the restaurant, right?
No, I'm sorry, we don't have in-store dining. We do have, you can walk in and grab your items, but you can't stay with them.
Oh, why is that, by the way? I'm just curious.
No comment.
Oh, gee, okay.
We have incidents here where the bathroom, for instance, human waste, blood, drug paraphernalia strewn across the floor, all the tables taken up by people who are basically just camping there for hours. How did this situation get like this in this neighborhood?
Well, I think it got there by sheer neglect. We've got a lot of do-gooders in the community who see their role as providing them with a meal in their stomach, perhaps some more drug paraphernalia and drugs to further the habit, but they forget about counseling. And so we have to suffer the consequences. So even we've got a beautiful trail just to the west of us here. I've got residents who won't use the trail anymore because they don't feel safe.
Wow.
And they tend to congregate all in one area. And so when they concentrate in one area, we get big social problems. And I think when I look at the big scheme, the federal government, the provincial government, in their whole rank of priorities, these social issues, the mental health issues, the addictions, tend to fall to the very bottom. And so it's regular citizens who have to suffer the consequences. In this particular case, the Tim Horton owner, he's done the right thing. He's trying to protect his staff. You know, if somebody if there was fentanyl on the table, a light dusting, a staff member just wiping the tables could be taking their life into their own hands. And you know, he's got Narcan on staff just in case.
Well, and I think the bigger picture, John, is this aiding and enabling people who are horribly addicted to terrible drugs. We have so-called safe injection sites that...
Safe for who?
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, they call them safe injection sites, but they're not safe for you or me. Yeah. You know, get anywhere near close to them, you're taking your life into your hands. It's not right. The homeless aren't paying the bills. Regular citizens pay the bills. That's what keep municipalities, federal government, provincial governments functioning through taxes. Yeah. And yet, you know, we don't have that protection. We don't have the attitude that we've got to turn these people around. And that, I think, one of the biggest things, we've got to get all these services to realize there's more to life than just providing the drugs, providing a change of clothes on Mondays and meals in their stomachs. It's got to be about turning around these very bad behaviors.
And John, why can't we import the Alberta model? What we see in that province are people, addicts being taken off the streets. They're being put into dormitories. They're being, basically retrained in everything, how to do laundry, how to make a budget for groceries. But the focus is get them clean and sober as opposed to perpetuating a very dangerous drug habit.
The view that we don't give up on people. We believe it's our job to try to get them their individual agency back. And so if we can get their individual agency back, then they can go on to reconnecting with family and friends and get on to living a productive life. So our very first recovery community opened up in Red Deer. And it's going to be modeled on just, it's almost like a dormitory. I've gone and visited it. We've got 50 male beds on one side and 25 female beds on the other, separate kitchens. And it's going to be working therapy. People are going to go and they'll do therapy in the morning and chores in the afternoon, or vice versa. They'll learn to cook and shop and do gardening and and learn basic skills. And whether it's a month or 6 months or a year, when they come out, they're going to be recovered. They're going to have a job. They're going to have a community wrapped around them. That, to me, is what success looks like from a conservative applied model compared to what you see up and down the West Coast, the carnage there.
I think it would be a fabulous transformation if that ever happened. But from what I can see out of social services, we've got staff who, aren't outcomes oriented. It's just, okay, yeah, we provided so many meals and we did all these sorts of things, and here's our stats. Aren't we a great success? No, you're not. You're failing, because there's more and more every single day. Now, this particular situation will turn around from the point of view that Metrolinx is expropriating this area for they need the extra wide tracks for the new GO station, but also will diminish the effect of the GO station if we continue to have the homeless hanging around. So I hope at some point we can turn this around.
And John, what do your constituents say to you? I see single-family dwellings in this neighborhood very close to this Tim Hortons. This must surely be affecting quality of life, property values. What kind of feedback do you get?
Well, I get a lot of complaints all the time. They feel that we're not doing it. Now, the city of Oshawa, we're not charged with that responsibility. That falls to the region of Durham. They follow the provincial guidelines. And so it's a real problem. And I'm hoping with the GO station, we get a gentrification of the neighborhood.
John, what can be done in the short term, at least, to turn things around? Or is this something, out of city council's control? Is this really a provincial and even federal initiative to turn around this ship of destitution?
What I'm hoping to see, and we're going through a bit of a zoning process right now for this Simcoe Street corridor and Bloor Street. I don't want, I want us to zone out any of the aid agencies that you can't automatically just locate anywhere along here and provide another service. There's one just down here that caters to the homeless duo, and they could just go in because the zoning was in place. We got to take that out, so that if you want to locate something along this corridor, you got to apply for a rezoning process to slow it down and let people provide their input, so that when it goes to something like Oshawa Council, the councillors have to decide, okay, I'm hearing from a lot of people who are not in favor of this, maybe I should listen to them.
Well, folks, I'm standing next to Andrew. He pulled into this Quickie Mart where there is a bit of a situation with some homeless people here. And Andrew, as I was saying off camera, we're doing a story on the Tim Hortons next door. The dining room is closed. The washrooms are closed. We're not laying blame to, Tim Hortons or the owner of the franchise, but I guess it's just a sad sign of the times, isn't it, that it is now unsafe, even in broad daylight, to open up the dining room for sit-in patrons.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that has to do with what they've done with the whole idea of harm reduction and the safe injection sites and everything like that, decriminalizing everything. I myself am a recovering addict. I've been attending a 12-step fellowship since 2012.
Okay.
And I can say that I know that they're trying to follow the model that they've done in Europe, where they decriminalize. They're not trying to punish the user, but they've only done, it's a half-ass attempt at that, right? Because they're not offering any of the resources. So you have safe injection sites, you have the product is being provided to some people, but they're not following up with the mental health, and that's something that our government really needs to work on doing.
I totally agree with you, Andrew. I mean, and when we look at the Alberta approach under Premier Smith, it's basically a tough love approach. It's getting people off the streets. Edmonton just dismantled a whole bunch of tent cities, and you get them into dormitories to get them clean and sober. I think that's more of a humane solution than just keeping addicts, to remain as addicts by giving them a supply of harmful drugs.
I agree with that completely. I mean, you do need a tough love approach. Like, I've seen it over the years, the amount of people that I have in my phone that are dead now because of this problem, right? Because of the epidemic. And it's not just street use. It's a lot of these people fell into this through pharmaceuticals from doctors, misprescribing or overprescribing narcotics, right? So many people I know, in their early 20s from a hockey injury or work injury, and the next thing you know, it's Percocets, then it's Oxycontin, and then it never stops, and then once they won't prescribe, it just keeps going and going, and then now you have like fentanyl and methamphetamine is huge in this area especially, right?
And then we have the so-called safe injection sites, and we saw last year in Toronto a mother of two shot in broad daylight, and that was because there were two rival drug dealers literally having a shootout over some crazy dispute. And I think that's an added element in this neighborhood. Not only do you have drug addicts, but you have the people coming in who supply them, the drug dealers. Well, Andrew, I want to thank you for your time, and I'm very happy to hear you've turned your life around. I hope things are going well for you.
It's not easy, but it is possible.
Okay.
Just if you want the help is there. You just got to look for it, and that's for anybody. It's the same thing if you have like kids or parents or anything that are involved in that. The options are there, so just look for it.
Folks, it seems to us that there is just a negligent lack of political will to fix problems that plague cities right across Canada. We've started a petition to address this. Please go to fixourcities.com. That's fixourcities.com. Put your name on that petition and send a message to the local politicians that something like this is completely unacceptable.